On the outskirts of an isolated village, there was an abandoned house whose name people whispered at night, the house of the Samar family. No one had dared to approach it since its last inhabitants disappeared in a harsh winter 20 years ago. David returned to the village after a long absence, driven by an old curiosity. He remembered a childhood dare. Spend a night in the abandoned house, if you're brave enough. He smiled wryly as he stood before the decaying wooden door. Pushing it, it groaned, as if complaining. Inside, the air was heavy with the scent of dampness, and the walls were lined with faded family portraits. Strangely, the eyes in the pictures seemed to glimmer, as if they were watching him. He shook his head to dismiss the thought, and turned on his small flashlight. By midnight, he began hearing slow footsteps above the ceiling. He told himself it was just the wind playing with the wood. But the steps were deliberate. 1 step, 2 steps. Then they stopped directly above him. The flashlight slipped from his hand when he heard a whisper near his ear. "Why have you returned?" Blood ran cold through his veins. He spun around but saw no one. Yet the portraits on the wall had changed. The family faces were no longer as they had been. Now, a new picture stood at the center. His own image, pale and hollow-eyed. Shivering, he approached the door to flee, only to find it firmly locked. Behind him, the footsteps returned. But this time, they weren't on the ceiling. They were directly behind him. He felt a cold breath brush his neck, and a low voice murmured, "You are one of the family now." The next morning, a villager passing the abandoned house noticed that a window on the upper floor had been left slightly open, and if one looked closely at the dusty family portraits behind the glass, he would see a new face smiling faintly, a face that bore an uncanny resemblance to Yasser.